Hello everyone, Audie from Ratliff Mandolins here, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of the Ratliff Mandolins Weekly Production Diary series. For those of you who are following along on this series on a weekly basis, you'll remember last week we finished up the last mandolin of the batch that we had been working on for many months, and shipped out the last one, and customer number 10 come on Saturday last week and picked his mandolin up. So let me get a little bit of footage of him and his visit here.
I like it.
And so now we're moving into the in-between phase of batches, and what we try to do is take care of all of these repairs that have built up over the past several months. Now, after looking at them, I don't think it's going to be quite as time consuming as I thought it was going to be. Let me give you a quick rundown of what we've got here. I have a guitar that needs to have a pickup put in the sound hole. I have two mandolins that I did not build, but I was instrumental in seeing them built. Basically, they just need strings, and I'll tell you all that story here when we get to that repair. I have a late 60s or early 70s Gibson acoustic guitar with a broken peg head, but we're not going to put a new neck in it. We're going to try some special super duper epoxy glue that I have here that I've never used before, but we're going to see how well it works. I have three separate Ratliff mandolins. I have an oval hole A style that came back to the shop here from Australia that basically has some action issues, and so probably we'll just wind up doing a refret and a plain job on the fretboard, but we'll see when we get to it. And then I have a very early, number 8 actually, Ratliff R5 from 1983 with basically the same issue as the oval hole. It just got some action issues and a little wavy business in the fretboard, so we'll probably wind up again just replaning the fretboard and putting in new frets. And then we have this little gem right here, which is an A style Ratliff mandolin with a broken peg head. Now this weekend I took the old neck out and shot some footage of that, so I'm going to run that footage right now. I have here a 1996 A style Ratliff mandolin. It had a broken peg head, and so we're going to replace the neck. I've already taken the fretboard off, and I've taken part of the fretboard extender off, and I'm in the middle of taking the other little half off. What we're going to do is dig the neck out then and put in a new one. And I have chosen a neck out of my handy dandy box of A-style neck blanks to go back in this mandolin. And so this mandolin is going to be my priority number 1 because the customer who lives up north has a trip planned down south here in about a month or so, and so we're going to try to get this mandolin ready for him to pick it up when he comes down. And so that's where I'm going to be spending the rest of my day, is fitting this neck down into this body, and hopefully, if I'm lucky, we'll get to glue it on before the end of the day. So here we go. At this point in the repair, it's time to take the squared rough neck blank into the big room and at least round over the better part of the neck. I leave the heel square. As you can see, it goes onto a jig that I specially built to hold these necks for this job, and I use just a regular wood rasp. After I'm done getting the bulk of the neck rounded over, I will pencil that joint outline onto the neck heel, the steel square neck heel, and then bandsaw that rough joint out, leaving plenty of extra meat for the final fitting down into the mandolin body, which is what I do right then. I start fitting the neck into the body, easing that thing down in there and checking the center line and all that kind of stuff, and then just taking a little bit of wood away and test fitting it until it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. I use mostly the smaller rasps, and then as I get closer, I will take a 100 grit or even 80 grit sandpaper wrapped around a flat tapered board to get the final fit. And after I start to get really, really close to being done, that's when I will go ahead and rough carve the heel. I'll take it right back to the same jig and rough carve the heel and get everything close. And then I'll bring it back into this part of the shop and have everything fit. It's really nice and tight. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to drill a hole right down through that heel block into the body cavity. Dry fit the neck in again. That hole is the same size diameter as this brass rod with a aluminum handle. I slip everything, that brass rod, all the way up into that mandolin through that hole and whack the end of it with a hammer, believe it or not, which will line up that hole in the head block and mark where that hole comes out on this neck right here. I will drill a pilot hole down through the neck, and then I will insert this 2-inch wood screw. I have a very precious screwdriver. For a guy that buys most of his screwdrivers for a quarter at yard sales, trust me, giving $18.95 for a screwdriver seemed like an extravagant buy. But I'll put a little drop of super glue on the tip of that screwdriver, put that screw on there, fish everything up in through there, screw that neck, pull it down into the body cavity, go check the center line fit, bridge height, go back and check all that stuff again. If it doesn't suit me, I will fix it by shaving just a little bit of wood or whatever to pull the neck one way or the other. When I'm finally happy, then I will have to take everything back apart again, smear glue on both sides, put it all back together, go back in, screw everything down, and that's about all you'll be able to do today. Lay it aside, let it dry, and then you can come back tomorrow. We can come back tomorrow and do all of the fretboard extender and all that sort of thing. So it's really not that bad a job. It's taken most of the day, but not that bad a job. We're not far away from being able to glue it up. That does it. We're all glued together. All right, everybody, Tuesday afternoon here, and I'm in the thick of things, but I felt like I should sit down and at least shoot one little clip of video to fill you in on where we're at. Yesterday, when I was telling you about what jobs we had to do, I forgot completely about this old Gibson. It's an old one, probably mid-30s to mid-40s. It's got the tapered peg head, and it's got the silkscreen script on it. It has a bunch of cracks and some fret wear and some missing binding, and so I think we're going to have to take the back off and re-glue all of the interior braces, so it's going to be quite the job. Forgot to tell you that about that guitar yesterday. Years and years and years ago, a man came to me who eventually became a very dear friend. He was a World War II vet who had built a couple of fiddles and was wanting to build a mandolin, and he came to me for advice, and he wanted to buy some tuning keys and binding and tail pieces and things like that, which he did. And like I said, we became he became a very dear friend. He has since passed on about 15 or 20 years ago, and his son brought me these mandolins that he had built, and the son wanted to more or less mothball them and make sure they were all glued together properly and strings and everything and in good shape, and we were going to detune the strings so that he could just store them. So that's what the deal is on these mandolins. There's two of them. This one's, the strings are all over the place, but my friend made those, and we're going to fix them and make them in good playable shape, mainly so they can go in the closet. This guitar right here is got a Seymour Duncan pickup in it that is a wooden piece with the pickup part, I guess, embedded into the wood somehow or another. The reason it's here is it would not fit down in this smaller guitar sound hole, so we had to take the tongue off of the wood and so that it could be fit down in the sound hole. That's already been taken care of, and it's ready to be picked up. And the mandolin that we worked on yesterday, this little A style, the neck got glued in. I have decided to, rather than use the pieces of old fretboard extender, we're just going to make a whole new fretboard extender, and I'd like to shoot finishing stuff up under it so that we can do that while it's still off of the mandolin itself. This piece right here that I have in my hand that you can see is the part that's going to go right here. So, but I can't glue it on today. We're going to shoot a couple coats of finish and probably glue it on tomorrow. Just wanted to touch base with you. Talk to you tomorrow or the next day. It's Wednesday evening here, and I have taken the back off of this older Gibson guitar. I thought maybe I should get started gluing the cracks, because it's going to be a long time of just gluing this thing and that little thing and then tomorrow gluing something else. So I thought I better get started on that, including replacing one brace and re-gluing all of the interior braces. They're all loose. And so I decided to take the back off. And I know this happens probably every day somewhere in the world, but it's never happened to me before. Look at what I found. As near as I can figure, that's a mouse. It has crawled in there and died. Hard telling how long he's laid there, but we're going to scoop him out and give him a proper burial and try to get this guitar back together. It is Thursday morning, and last night my better half Bonnie told me that we had to go to the bank today. We have some banking business, and then she needs bread and milk, and so we've got a trip to town planned. So I'm down here early trying to get as much done as I can before we have to leave. Number one on the job jar list is this little A-style that we're putting a new neck in. The fretboard extender is now finished and ready to be glued on, in preparation for putting the fingerboard on, hopefully tomorrow. So that's job number one. And then we'll start in on this mandolin right here, which is mandolin number 8 for me, actually. An old timer. And it has some action issues and a little bit of a drop off here on the fretboard extender. So we're going to try to figure out some way to bring this fretboard extender back up and then pull the frets from playing the fretboard and refret it. And I doubt that I'll get much more than trying to figure out how to get that fretboard extender to level back up. But if we get any farther than that and I've got some free time, I will start on this Gibson guitar here and probably go up to the wood stash and see if I can find some bracing material long enough to replace that brace right there. And I'd say that that'll pretty much take up all my work time today. So here we go. That awful mess that you're looking at right now is that Gibson guitar that I spoke of earlier. It is a 1973 or early 1974 J55. It had the classic whiplash broken peg head all the way down from the truss rod pocket on down to just shy of the 5th fret. So we had a nice long break, and I have glued it up with this fancy schmancy glue. It's System 3 T88, and it's supposed to be some of the strongest 2-part epoxy in the world, and we're going to find out, because we're not going to do anything else besides glue it with this stuff. I'm not going to splice it or plate it or anything else. It's either going to hold or it's not. Now, earlier today, I worked just a little bit on one of those mandolins that needed to have a fret plane and new frets put in. I worked on some of the kerfing that had broken loose on this old Gibson guitar that we were going to put the back on. And I also, yesterday, as you know, glued the fretboard extender on this mandolin. Today I put in the 15th fret cross pieces and glued in the truss rod. And so I think before I quit today, I'm going to glue this fretboard on so that Monday morning we can work on the peg head overlay and perhaps get started on the binding on the peg head. So go with me. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.